It's 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and where else would I be but here with you? Actually, I wasn't here with you last week because I was with family over the holidays and enjoying time. I hope you had some fun with your family as well. So, before we get started this week, I just wanted to talk for a second about how, people use coaches all the time. Hey Caroline, how are you? So we use coaches to lose weight. There are life coaches. There are coaches to help us do better at our job. And there are coaches to help us become better athletes, to become stronger. And so have you ever thought of maybe using a coach to help you with the most important part of your life, or the most important job of your life anyway, which would be parenting? And so parenting coaches are great because they give you someone to bounce things off on. They give you someone to have a different perspective and a different maybe idea of how to approach things when it's not quite so emotional. And we actually at Little Hearts Academy offer coaching. So you can get one-on-one coaching or you can do group coaching. There are benefits to either approach, but we're here for you. So if you're interested in finding out more about parent coaching, give me a call. It's 720-989-6475. And remember, I am still a teacher, so if I don't pick up, I'm probably with my kids or in a meeting. So just leave a message and I'll get back to you. So with that in mind, I wanted to talk to you for a little bit about something that was just amazing that we went through. I recently recorded a conversation, and it has now become a podcast, which is available right now on Imperfect Heroes. And her name is Clarissa Nelson. And when we did the interview, she was pregnant and expecting her sixth child. So she would have 3 girls and 3 boys. And since then, she's actually given birth to a beautiful little boy named Owen, and everything seems to be going well. But with all these kids, her oldest daughter is named Brinley, and Brinley is 13 years old. And Brinley was at normal pregnancy all the way through. Something happened during the birthing process, and Brinley has cerebral palsy. And in fact, a significant case. Brinley can't speak. She cannot walk. They're working on helping her to put some weight on her legs, and she's able to do that sometimes, but she just needs a lot of help. And so they have Brinley, and they had 5 more amazing, beautiful kids. So I talked to Clarissa for a while about what are some of the things that help you get along. How are you managing life with all of this going on? Life with 6 kids would be busy and crazy anyway, and then we're going to add on their precious Brinley, who needs that extra help. So one of the things that I really loved that she talked about was how going through the process, there's a mourning process that takes place. Brinley was about between 5 or 6 months old before they realized, and the doctors realized, that all of this was going on. They didn't know exactly how things were going to go. They thought maybe she had epilepsy because she was having seizures. And so they took her in, and they're doing all of these tests, and it turned out that no, it was a little more than epilepsy. And so this whole journey began. But you go from thinking you have this healthy, beautiful little child in your arms, and got to realizing that this child is not going to have a normal life. And in fact, your whole life is going to be turned around as well. And so you have all of these ideas of what your family was going to be and what the future would be with your child. And suddenly that is completely changed. And it was interesting to hear Clarissa talk about how she went through that process of figuring it out and what's going on. And then her husband, who's named Kai, he had a different way of managing through it. And so how a lot of marriages struggle and will fail with the birth of a child who has disabilities. And they, of course, didn't want that to happen, and they wanted to work on it, but it took a while for her to understand that Kai needs to go through this and process it in his own way, and then she needed to do it in her way. And she said it was kind of interesting in that Kai's processing and his struggle happened very quickly and early on, where Clarissa was focused on, okay, so here we are. What are the next steps? What are the next things I need to do? And so she was just looking at, managing it all, getting everything arranged, getting to all the doctor appointments, and, there were surgeries, there were all of these things that were going on. And so her focus was on next steps. What do I do now? What do I do now? What do I do now? And so Kai was going through his, emotional, you're distraught, really. You're scared, you're fearful for your child, you're fearful for the future, and how do I make a future for this child and help them be the best that they can be. Clarissa's came later, once things started more calming down and there wasn't quite so much to do. And so it was really important then she learned to make sure that each other was given the chance to mourn and process in their own way, and not be angry with them because you don't care. I care. People get upset because if you don't process it the same way I did, then that clearly means you don't care. Well, they do care. They're just processing it in a different way. And so to truly love that person and help them through, you're going to help them through their process, and they need to help you through your process. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. So then another thing is that, here they have all these other kids. And so Brindley is 13, and then they have Casey is 10, Taylor is 7, and those are the 3 girls. And so Casey and Taylor as being older, and then there's, let me try and get it all there. I think there's Porter, and then Chauncey, and then Owen's the brand new baby. So, there's these little ones, and there's Taylor and Casey, and how do you meet the needs of all of these other kids as well? And so she talked about how important it was to make sure that they're having some one-on-one time with both mom and dad. She recognized that the 2 older girls were actually having to take on more responsibility at a younger age just because of the family dynamic and all of the things that Brindley needed and still needs. And so there were times when, she needed Casey to help with one of the other kids, the younger boys, who maybe needed help with getting a sandwich prepared. They were hungry, or keeping them entertained so that she could take care of something that maybe Brindley needed to manage. So in recognizing that, she really needed to make sure that these 2 older girls, because it would be really easy for resentment to work its way in for them. And she said, and honestly, sometimes it does. She can see it. Sometimes, why do you got to do this with Brindley? And why can't you help with this? And so, but really paying attention to that and making sure that these girls understood how they are appreciated, and then to have some extra perks for all the things that they're having to do that, needed to be done, and they just needed those extra hands. So I thought that was really good that she talked about how being so aware of what the needs are with the other kids and making sure that they have time and getting that one-on-one time with everybody. Another thing that she talked about, and I thought it was a really good point, but I think it's a good point whether you have a special needs child or not. If you're a parent, there's just a lot going on, right? Even if your kids are healthy, there's a lot going on. And so she said that it was really important for them, meaning herself and Kai, to have that self-care time, to do things that relax them or help them feel better. And Clarissa is a very athletic and energetic person. So one of the things that she found was really helpful to her was getting up early to exercise. And I guess they have a lot of like video programs and not tapes, but DVDs and stuff for exercise. And so that was something that she made sure that she was getting up to do, at least as long as she could into this pregnancy. And then Kai, and one of the ways that he managed coping through it all at the beginning was he got together a triathlon event, and it was called Because I Try. And they were just trying to do something in honor of Brinley, and he had friends and friends of friends, and they got all of this together for this Because I Try triathlon, because they were trying to be better parents. But for Kai, it was getting out and running and riding his bike and swimming and actually finding the time and the ability to do an occasional triathlon. That's something that he enjoyed doing. And so as they learned to support each other and making sure that each one got to do the things that were important to them, to just feel that calm, to feel that peace, whatever that brings, that's really helped them as individuals, and it's also helped them in their marriage. They've been married, she said, I can't remember, 15 or 16 years. I'm like, you've earned that. With everything that's going on. I think that was funny. Hey, Veronica. So anyway, I think paying attention to what you need to do, whether you have a child with disabilities or not, is really important. But I think also supporting your spouse in getting done what they need to do. And then another thing that they do is just the family activities. And so they go out camping, they go hiking, and they are off doing things a lot, often. The kids are out there, and Brinley comes along, and they have figured out, special backpacks when they could carry her. And now that she's getting bigger, that's getting harder to do. They have found special strollers that they can push her along. And sometimes the kids will take turns wanting to push, when it's not so steep that they are able to do that. And so they have found ways to manage and make accommodations so that Brinley can be camping with them and doing things. And so I really loved the way that they really incorporate her into all of their other family activities. Brinley isn't left behind because she can't. They just figure a way to make it happen. And I just really appreciated that. And I was pretty amazed by all of that. Excuse me, I've got a little something in my throat. So there was another thing that I thought was really cool, was she talked about they'd made a connection with a group called Sparrow Clubs. Sparrow like the bird, and club. So this is an organization, I think it's out of Oregon, the Oregon area, but they actually have found a way to connect kids and volunteer hours, and then, hi Nephi, and volunteer hours, and then help them earn money for a child in need, much like Brinley. And so they were identified. They were the first Sparrow family in Arizona. Clarissa's from Arizona area. And so they were the very first one. And so it's a project where there were kids from a local high school, and it's their club. It's called a Sparrow Club out of the high school. And then they have these service hours and then they total up all of the service hours that the kids in the club do. And then there are corporations that will pay or donate money to that family for every hour that is donated through that Sparrow Club. What a great way to get some of your kids involved in helping others. And it may be someone that they've never even met. I know that they did videos of Brinley, and they were showing them to the club members, and some of the things that their money went to buy, like, a specialized stroller or something that will help her to strengthen her legs and try to be able to stand better. And all of these things that, and I know they said it also helped them get a van that was big enough that they could get all of Brinley's things inside and still have room for the other kids in the van. They could all travel together. And so the Sparrow Club helped them get that as well. So I'd never heard of this Sparrow Club thing, but so I did some investigating on it, and it's just sparrowclubs.org. And there's a place where you can go in and type in and see some of the kids that are in there, the Sparrow kids. So there's 3 videos with Brinley in there Oh gosh, now the hiccups. Ah. So anyway, they tried to, or they did these little videos of Brinley, and it starts out, it's funny because they only have 4 kids, at least the first video. So if you go to sparrowclubs.org, and if you put in Brinley N, and it's Brinley, and then N for Nelson, you'll be able to see some of those videos about Brinley and what's going on with her. But I really thought that it was just amazing that I talk about my imperfect hero families, and I love actually to have them on my podcast. So I have 3 different types of podcasts that I do, all under Imperfect Heroes, but there are some that are just me, and I'm talking about, a topic or whatever. There are some that I have an expert in an area, and you'll see those. And then I have my Imperfect Heroes episodes, and these are just families that have overcome something or worked through something in a way. And hi, Raylene. And I just love talking to them about, how was this for you? How did you go through this? And what's going on? I remember I did one with actually my daughter, Rocky, who really suffered with some severe postpartum depression. And she's very open about that. And she's a big advocate for women who go through that. And so it was really interesting, not talking to someone who is a medical expert in that area, but talking to someone who actually went through it and what their perspective was and how hard it was sometimes for them to get help and the things that they needed to do to get the right kind of help to get them through. And so Clarissa is one of my imperfect heroes. Next week, I have another imperfect hero that I'm interviewing. His name is Matt Ballard. And I wanted to play with this idea of, at this time of year, how do we teach our kids about the spirit of giving rather than the spirit of getting? It's Christmas has just become so commercialized, and kids just talk about what they want. And it's interesting to me. I tried this experiment, I guess, about 3 years or 4 years ago. And I started asking kids, what do you want to give for Christmas instead of what do you want to get for Christmas? And it's just been hysterical watching their reactions. Some of them, they'll assume that I said, what do you want to get? So they'll start naming off all these things, that they want. And I'll say, oh, that's wonderful. Who are you going to give those things to? And they'll look at me like, what are you, crazy lady? No, that's the stuff I want. But they didn't hear my question right, because it's just this automatic thing going through. And so, and how we can get our kids to just get in that spirit of giving and looking outward instead of inward. And it's a great thing to start at this time of the year, but it's also a great thing to continue on throughout the year, and a great talent or state of mind to help our kids get in throughout life. And so that is going to be next Mondays. But this Monday is Clarissa. I hope that you will listen to it. I put a link on here. Hang on. I see that I have a comment somewhere. Here it is. From Nephi, it says, my wife and I have 2 severe autistic kids, and we also have my wife's nephew. Hang on, I'm pulling it up. Come on, see more. There we are. Okay. And then we also have my wife's nephew, who is the same way, and my sister Rebecca, and her son is also autistic. So it looks like you've really got your hands full. One of the things that I noticed, and in talking to Clarissa, was that sometimes people would come to help, and maybe Nephi, you can let me know if this is something that happens with you. People would come to help, and it was actually more stressful rather than helpful, because they would come with an idea of, oh, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And it wasn't really what Clarissa needed. And she appreciated their thought. She appreciated them taking the effort. But it was really stressful when even something like putting the dishes away, and they put them in the wrong places, right? Or cleaning stuff, and it's always such a nice thing to do, but you want to do it in a way that is actually helpful to the family that you're going out to help. And she talked about also that she tended to rather have family members come because she didn't feel like she had to kind of put on a show for people who were, you know, outsiders, but people who just had great intentions and wanted to come in, and maybe you know, they were trying to get the kids to do something that was outside of their regular routine, and the kids would just get confused with what it was. Whereas if it was family coming and they knew, this is how we do it, this is how we go, and then Clarissa didn't have to feel like she was trying to entertain them. She always felt bad if someone was doing something wrong, because I didn't feel like I could say, oh no, we don't do it that way, I need this over there, or I need this done this way. She you know, didn't feel like she could really tell them what to do while they were there, which I think they would have been fine. I would have been fine if she came and said, oh wait, we don't do it that way, da 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 da, and I'd be, oh, great to know, I'll know next time, and you know, you can move along. But that's something too that she mentioned as they were going along. So anyway, I am so grateful. I'm grateful for the time that I got to spend with my family over the holidays. We went down to Texas, and I got to spend some time with my youngest daughter, Noelle, and her little family, and see their new digs. And I'm just so grateful for family. I know that you guys are too. And so I hope that as we move forward with this holiday season, that we'll be able to move with that love in our heart, with patience and kindness. And I want to read here Nephi's response. It says, that is true. And I think we're still talking about people coming in to help. However, it depends on the kid. Some with autism like the help, and for some it is just too much. It depends on how the autism affects them. And I can agree with having taught so many kids with autism, and they're at varying levels. It's a wide spectrum, isn't it? And so you really need to have that conversation then with the family that you're coming in to help, so that they know, oh yeah, he's going to love all of the attention, or no, she doesn't deal with it really well, and so you need to kind of, you know, and then you can give them a little direction in what your child will respond best to and what might set them off. And it goes with different disabilities beyond autism as well. Autism is very strong that way, but it could be someone with severe ADHD, or it could be someone with oppositional defiant disorder. There are a lot of things that can go on with our families, and so if we're trying to help, we really want to have that conversation so that we're truly helping them and we know how to address it. So anyway, please come listen to my episode. It is wonderful. I think you will like it. And so if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of the main ones, you can just go on there, and if you do a search for Imperfect Heroes or DJ Stutz, you will get it and you'll be able to listen to it. So thanks for joining me. Gosh, I'm so glad to see so many familiar faces, or not faces, but names. And thanks, Nephi, for your comments. I always appreciate comments and you guys being part of the conversation. That's the main actually part for my Tuesday nights is to have people make comments and ask questions, and then I can have a conversation with you guys and we can share some ideas. So I love all the thumbs up and the hearts. You guys are great, and I really love my listeners so much, and you all are, you know, friends to me. So thank you so much. So listen to the podcast. I will be back here next week. We'll go into more detail with about my conversation with Imperfect Hero Matt Ballard, and share some of that, and then what's coming up. And if you're thinking about some parenting coaches, let me know. And you know, it's Christmas time. Maybe it's a great gift for someone that you know that might benefit from it too. So we'll see you next week. Until then, let's find joy in parenting. Good night, everyone.